Cultura islamica o certa interpretazione della cultura islamica e i diritti e i valori della nostra civiltà. A me non sfugge che la gran parte dei centri culturali islamici in Italia sono finanziati dall'Arabia Saudita, e l'Arabia Saudita è una nazione che a casa sua applica la Sharia, e Sharia significa lapidazione per l'adulterio, pena di morte per apostasia, pena di morte per omosessualità. Credo che queste questioni vadano poste, che non vuol dire generalizzare sull'Islam, vuol dire porre il problema che c'è in atto un processo di islamizzazione dell'Europa.
Hello, good afternoon. This is the 11th day of October, being Saturday 2025. This is trending that Italy wants to ban Islamic face covering, mosque funding. Why this step? I saw this news yesterday on this news platform called Politico. Politico is a news platform that covers political news in Italy and socio-cultural issues. Now, those who violate the proposed burqa ban could face a fine up to 3,000 euros. 3,000 euros in Nigerian naira is more or less 5 million naira. 5 million naira for violating this law. By covering your face, you're going to pay 5 million naira fine. Now, let's go back to history. I did little research. I discovered that Italy is one of the most welcoming countries in the whole world. In other words, Italy is a country that literally say, come as you are, we accommodate you. They don't have all this religious fighting. They don't have problem with everybody. In fact, some of their churches, Catholic churches, they gave it to Muslims to do their prayers. Sometimes Muslims refuse to go. Most of them don't used to go there. Now, at the time, Italy started closing the centers of prayer of Muslims. And at that time, they saw it as a religious persecution. But Italy said no. The problem is we have a designated area for everything. You cannot go to a commercial area, industrial area, and start doing your prayers there. We prohibit it there. That place is not for church and it's not for residential. So in residential areas, there are some things you can do there. There are some things you can't do there. So after some years, the matter died away. And the matter is this. The Italian Prime Minister, her name is Giorgia Meloni. Giorgia Meloni is saying, look at, we don't have problem with anybody. But if you want to come and live in our country, you must be able to respect our constitution and our values. And, you know, most immigrants coming to Italy now, most foreigners who are coming to live there, not just tourists, most migrants who are coming to live there are, let me say, are Muslims. Most of them are Muslims right now. So because of that, they are trying to bring their culture, you know, most Muslims, or they try to live the way they know how to live in any place. They hardly copy the way a country is living. And most of the time they try to impose or dominate the area with their influence. So, you know, it's common with them. So this issue is now going up to a global stage. And Giorgia Meloni, you know, the lady, the Prime Minister of Italy, she's a no-nonsense woman. She has said that there is no going back to this law. That they have started seeing some radicalism, some attacks. I think in this year, I recorded personally 3 attacks that happened in Italy. Because when this thing started coming, I have to start doing research to know before these people will make this move, why are they making this move? Why is Italy trying to toe this path? People have been wearing hijab for over 500 years ago. People have been coming to Italy with hijab and so on and so forth. Let me say 500 years ago. Italy don't have problem with that. But why now? Now, pay attention. This is the same reason why I have been saying that, you see, 2 different ideas, 2 different ideologies, 2 different culture, it is difficult for them to cohabit in a place called a nation. If you open your dictionary right there, check the meaning of a nation. Nation is unison. That does not mean that other people cannot live there, but you must obey a unilateral something like this is what you are known for. This is a nation. Like if you mention Saudi Arabia, I won't look back to tell you their culture, their Islamic culture, and I love them for that. You mention Qatar, I won't look back to tell you about the Islamic culture, and I love them for that. When you mention Niger, I will tell you about the Islamic culture, and I love them for that. When you mention Morocco, Egypt, Libya, I will tell you these are Islamic nations. You don't go there and mess around. You have to obey their culture. But if you mention Italy, This is a Christian-dominated state. Not a Christian-dominated state. This is a Christian country. A Roman Catholic country, for that matter. So, you don't impose your culture on them. This is the problem we are having in Nigeria. Different ideologies. The Muslims and the Christians, most of their cultures are not the same. Some Muslims will not see you selling beer, selling alcoholic drink. In the same country, you are living with them. You are having separate constitution. So all this katakata went in Nigeria. This is one of the major problems. See, Muslims are good people, Christians are good people. Among the Christians, you also see bad people. Among the Muslims, you also see bad people. So, but what I'm trying to say is that it is very difficult for you to have a country where you have large populations of Christians, another large population with Muslims competing with each other. It cannot work. And that is why most of the time, if they are talking about the issue of Nigeria, I will buy the idea of Kunle Olaomi, the head of Nigerian military agency, who have seen the whole problem in Nigeria in the course of his service to the country. He served 36 years, in Nigeria, and he was head of the military intelligence agency. He said that the only solution to solving these problems in Nigeria is just to divide the country. Because he said, one side will not stop dominating another side. You understand?
One thing they don't teach we Africans is this. No country exists on a foundation of multiculturalism. There is nowhere in the world. Listen to me very carefully. All this nonsense, even the crap that Coca was coming up with, telling you about diversity is our strength and all that rubbish. Allow me to repeat, there is no country on this earth that survives on a foundation or a bedrock of multiculturalism. It doesn't exist. That is why multiculturalism in Africa is dead on arrival. It can never work. Because we are tribal beasts by nature. We are tribal by nature. That is why we travel from wherever we are during New Year's, during Christmas, during Easter, during New Year Festival to go back home where we come from. Because that is where we identify with. Now, let me ask the U.S. ambassador a very simple question. Is United States of America a multicultural society? U.S. that was created and built by Western Europeans. U.S. was created, should I say, created by God, of course. Built by Western Europeans, mostly English people that was fed up with the way of life of the English monarchy. They went to America on merry roads. I want to ask the U.S. ambassador, I want to teach Africans what they don't know this evening. There is no country that functions on this multi-ethnic rubbish. Nowhere in the world, not even the USA, that was created by people who are not indigenous to America. The owners of the soil of America are Native American Indians. That is a fact of life. God gave America to Western Europe to develop and gave them a special grace to be the beacon and the light and the conscience of the world. Because God knew that if he had left all these wonderful people in Europe, they would become contaminated. He removed them from Europe, sent them to America, built a wonderful nation as a shining light and a beacon for the whole world to look up to. Even that America that was built from scratch by people who are not indigenous to the land is not multicultural. Why am I saying this? America was founded on the principles of Judeo-Christian, Greco-Roman, democratic value systems. I repeat, America is not multicultural. They accommodate other races and other nations. Yes, they can accommodate you. But where you're coming into, the bedrock, the foundation of America is based on Judeo-Christian principles, Greco-Roman political ideology, which is republicanism. America is not multicultural. America is Western Europe. The value systems of Western Europe, Judeo-Christian, Greco-Roman, Republican governance. Had America been a multicultural society, they would have space for Sharia. I'm now addressing the U.S. ambassador to try to tell them to stop deceiving people. We are educated, we went to school for a reason. We are enlightened and we have our brain intact. There is no country on this earth that runs on this wishy-washy multiculturalism. It doesn't happen. What you have are established order and value systems upon which various cultures can now coexist. If you go to America, you coexist under the provisions of the United States Constitution. And the US Constitution is a Christian constitution, not Islam. America is not multicultural, but under that bedrock of liberty and egalitarianism, you allow other cultures to come in. But first of all, they must swear allegiance to or take an oath to uphold the Constitution of the USA. That is something that the US ambassador never told the Janjaweed that went to visit her. The same way that Nigeria cannot function as a viable entity. Wole Soyinka knows what I'm talking about. I'm even sure somebody who claims he's learned, as Bishop Coker is, understands what I'm talking about. No country on this earth. The value system of the State of Israel is based on Judaic principles. The value system of Russia is entirely theirs, it's based on theirs. It's the Russian way of doing things from times of the Tsar. If you go to Saudi Arabia, it is essentially a Sharia Islamic state. You can live there, no problem. You can build your churches if you want. I think they've not started to allow churches to be built. But it is never a multicultural society. Japan is not a multicultural society. China is not. They can accommodate you, but that doesn't mean they are This is the type of nonsense they feed Africans. And we fall for that very gimmick of multiculturalism. At the end of the day, you end up with a useless contraption like Nigeria. You don't have any value system that anybody anywhere can define. If I talk about the USA, I can talk about hamburger in the USA. We can talk about, what else do they have in the USA? Hamburger, you can talk about, what's it called? What are the traditional dishes? Apple pie and all the rest of it. You can say that these are American dishes. If you go to the UK, you can talk about maybe mashed potato and bangers and mash, which is sausage and mashed potato, as their national meal. That's understandable. But I ask you, if you come to Nigeria, what is the national dish of Nigeria? Does a Fulani Janjaweed eat ofe egusi, where we come from? Does an Igbo man eat a wedu soup? The answer is no. So on what basis is all this so-called multicultural foundation going to be laid upon? On what? We are not one people. We may be black, we may be Africans, but we're not one people. Not even one religion. If Britain cannot stay in an EU that is entirely Christian, EU is entirely Christian. Britain left. Nigeria, you don't know if Nigeria is Christian or in fact is Islamic. So for me to accept the multiculturalism being preached by the US ambassador, I have to embrace Islam as my religion. That's what it means. And some of you get taken in by all this rubbish. And I feel sorry for you. Yeah, sometimes when I say this, I'm being very arrogant. If you are educated, you will understand that no nation is multicultural. They allow other cultures to come in. It doesn't mean they're multicultural. They have a viable space where multicultural ideas or identities can thrive. But the foundation has to be monolithic. It has to be one dominant value system and ideology. That's how it is all over the world. Don't let anybody fool you otherwise. That is the same reason why you have this anomaly. In a so-called republic, you have royal fathers in a republic. Because you are trying to shuffle multiculturalism. You're trying to marry the feudal system of the North, the monarchical system of the West, and the Republican system in the East, to marry them into one. And what you have is entirely rubbish, and that is why Nigeria can never work. Not now, not tomorrow, not ever. Competing value systems. Nobody wants their own value system to be subsumed under another person's value system. This is something that the US ambassador never told you. But here I am telling you today. Because if you come here, you become educated. If you come here, you become enlightened. If you come here, you stop being a zoo animal, you become a human being. That is why we are the largest and, of course, the most consistent broadcasting platform insofar as Africa is concerned, right across the world. Millions listen to us because they know we preach the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. That is why this very day, because you are in one Nigeria, in multiculturalism, The army will come to Olo to defend Fulani Janjaweed living in our forests. We went to Olo to defend our people. They came, they arrested the clerics. Men of God, they arrested all of them. How many times have you heard that imams were being arrested in the north? Or that villages were being invaded in the north and imams being arrested? Only in Biafra land. And this is your multiculturalism. This is a place where you want all of us to stay somehow to pretend that all is well when we know that it is not. In that same Nigeria is where Fulani headsmen openly boast about conquest. Benue State is one. That is why I feel sorry for the idiots talking rubbish from Benue. They came and they made the same bold claim on Edo State. And I quote, "We will kill all policemen and take over Edo State." Vanguard publication of January 23, 2021, this year. Only 2 months ago. Nothing happens to them. Only the Fulanis can lay claim to land that doesn't belong to them and nobody will say anything. When you try to respond, they come against you. And your average foolish Nigerian who cannot reason properly, they're not educated very well, I'm sorry to say, will side with the oppressor. It's only in Nigeria where the victim becomes the accused. You came into Olo, Hope Uzodinma tried to give you land in Olo to build a Fulani settlement, and we said no to it. That's all. To talk about Olo crisis. And now they're trying to blame IPOB, they're trying to blame Eastern Security Network. But all of you are aware of the fact that Nigeria Army and Nigeria Police are essentially Fulani Janjaweed terrorists in uniform. The newspapers, all the articles, everywhere, the national discourse is replete with instances of Fulani being supplied by the military, as you're going to listen to later on. But nothing happens. When you try to fight back, you become the victim. And we are saying we are fed up of being victims. We can no longer be victims anymore. If you kill us, we will kill you. I'm saying it live on video, so you can share the video all over the world if you want. If you come to our land to kill us, we will kill you. As simple as that. It may take us some time, but eventually we'll overwhelm you. Well, in the end, we always win. As I warned them in Benue, we are in Benue. In all of our communities in Benue State, and we're not living there until we are certain that the lives and properties of our people there are firmly secured. Any day we learn to stop blaming the victims, this world will be a better place. I'm directing this very statements to the US Ambassador, to the UK High Commissioner, to the EU presence in the zoo, and the UN as well. I know all of you will do nothing. We are not Muslims, so you're not going to help us. That's obvious. We know that for sure. But we have something that you do not have. We have the grace, the might, and protection of God Almighty in heaven. And we know that God exists. And as long as He liveth, as my name is Nnamdi, my Redeemer liveth, as long as God lives in heaven, all of you can never triumph against us. Ojukwu said it before, and you said he failed. We know why he failed, because God said the time wasn't right. I want to show them, my children, what is called Biafra, that very kingdom. They have to fight their way into it. If that is the option you leave for us, then by all means, we'll oblige you. But Biafra must come, or we all die. It's as simple as that. There is no alternative. People must understand the rage that is boiling within us. You must understand how angry we are. We may look normal to you, but we are very, very angry, believe you me. And by the time we are done with Nigeria, the name won't exist. That I can assure you.